Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become. The word happiness would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. Mistakes are, after all, the foundations of truth, and if a man does not know what a thing is, it is at least an increase in knowledge if he knows what it is not. I don't aspire to be a good man. I aspire to be a whole man. There can be no transforming of darkness into light and of apathy into movement without emotion. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. Show me a sane man, and I will cure him for you. If one does not understand a person, one tends to regard him as a fool. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. The majority of my patients consisted not of believers, but of those who had lost their faith. Sometimes you have to do something unforgivable just to be able to go on living. Nobody, as long as he moves among the chaotic currents of life, is without trouble. As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. Mistakes are, after all, the foundations of truth, and if a man does not know what a thing is, it is at least an increase in knowledge if he knows what it is not. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. It is far better to take things as they come along with patience and equanimity. Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, there love is lacking. The one is the shadow of the other. You are what you do, not what you say you will do. The pendulum of the mind oscillates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong. Every form of addiction is bad, no matter whether the narcotic be alcohol, morphine, or idealism. As a child I felt myself to be alone, and I am still, because I know things and must hint at things which others apparently know nothing of, and for the most part do not want to know. There's no coming to consciousness without pain. No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. In all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order. Thinking is difficult, that's why most people judge. Whatever is rejected from the self appears in the world as an event. We cannot change anything unless we accept it. How can I be substantial if I do not cast a shadow? I must have a dark side also if I am to be whole. Where wisdom reigns, there is no conflict between thinking and feeling. The greatest tragedy of the family is the unlived lives of the parents. Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, love is lacking. The one is the shadow of the other. Shame is a soul-eating emotion. Through pride, we are ever deceiving ourselves. But deep down below the surface of the average conscience a still, small voice says to us, something is out of tune. The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct acting from inner necessity. The creative mind plays with the objects it loves. The best political, social, and spiritual work we can do is to withdraw the projection of our shadow onto others. What you resist, persists. The first half of life is devoted to forming a healthy ego, the second half is going inward and letting go of it. To find out what is truly individual in ourselves, profound reflection is needed, and suddenly we realize how uncommonly difficult the discovery of individuality is. About a third of my cases are suffering from no clinically definable neurosis, but from the senselessness and emptiness of their lives. This can be defined as the general neurosis of our times. Nothing has a stronger influence psychologically on their environment and especially on their children than the unlived life of the parent. The reason for evil in the world is that people are not able to tell their stories. Wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of the contraries. If there is anything that we wish to change in the child, we should first examine it and see whether it is not something that could better be changed in ourselves. Nights through dreams tell the myths forgotten by the day. It is often tragic to see how blatantly a man bungles his own life and the lives of others, yet remains totally incapable of seeing how much the whole tragedy originates in himself, and how he continually feeds it and keeps it going. Every human life contains a potential. If that potential is not fulfilled, then that life was wasted. We should not pretend to understand the world only by the intellect, we apprehend it just as much by feeling. Therefore, the judgment of the intellect is, at best, only the half of truth, and must, if it be honest, also come to an understanding of its inadequacy. Sensation tell us a thing is. Thinking tell us what it is this thing is. Feeling tells us what this thing is to us. I must also have a dark side if I am to be whole. We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life. Children are educated by what the grown-up is and not by his talk.